good evening, and welcome to the Super License F1 podcast. My name's Rodney.
And my name is Zach.
Zach, it's been a little while since I spoke to you. How in the heck are you doing?
Just bloody nailing it, mate. Wow. Hello, I'm very Australian, in case you had noticed. Yeah, I'm good. But let's talk about you. How are you?
Oh, it's better now. As you know, I've been unwell, but I'm better now. I would say I'm probably about 83.75% right now.
Okay, so just approximately 83.75.
Round it up to the nearest thousandth. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, this is a Formula One podcast, right? So we're talking hundreds and thousands.
Make the difference.
I haven't had fairy bread in a long time. Hundreds and thousands.
You haven't had fairy bread? Oh, surprisingly, we've never made fairy bread because my daughter will eat bread and butter. She'll eat coloured sprinkles, but for whatever reason, join the two together and we're like, we're bad parents for giving you this. But I'm sure it's just around the corner. Maybe at her next birthday, that might be the first fairy bread birthday.
I thought she was going to have the discerning palate of like, I don't enjoy a sweet sandwich. Thank you. That's too weird.
A number of times. I mean, it used to be you have to eat your dinner to get dessert. Now it's like, I know dessert's coming and you're going to give it to me anyway. So I guess I'm just finished with my dinner. But you haven't started it. But I'm finished with it. That's
Look,
the conversations
I am
we're having right now.
With this. I know there's more.
Give me
a different thing.
The better stuff. This is the other thing that she does, and this is so cute. She sort of like talks her way around things. Like she thinks, I want you to give me an oat biscuit. So she'll be like, Dad, I want something round and I guess made of oats. And I'll be like an oat biscuit. She'll be like, oh, that would be great. I mean, she's very manipulative.
That's great. I love this. I wonder where she gets that from.
Not sure. Anyway, Zach, should we talk about some Formula One maybe on a podcast?
She's better at than you. That's the direct thing. Yeah.
I just telegraph it. It's the Mexican Grand Prix this week. We're going to talk all about the race. I've got a great quiz coming up for you, and we're going to have a look at the Fantasy League, and then what else do we do? A couple of other things. It's going to be a fun time, I hope. And like I said, I've been sick, but I'm doing my best to just hang in there. Ripper.
Bring the vibes, and you don't need to hope. It will be good. It will be good. There's nothing hopey about this. We'll do our best, and it will be great because that's all people can expect from us.
Yeah, how could you possibly expect more? I guess you probably could, and that would be completely fair. But we'll do what we can. Anyway, it'll be fine. You want to talk about the race?
Yes, please.
Let us race a bit. I gave him space.
Zach my balls. Let's hurry up and get out of here. We've got a race to do.
Let us race, man, saith the Mexican. Raceth, doth the Mexican. You see what I did there? Bit of culture, bit of class. Just classing it up this week.
Exactly. Well, that was, we got our survey feedback from our listeners, and they were like, not classy enough. Too unclassy. What's the opposite of classy?
Too unclassy. Be more sophisticate, please.
Yes. Bourgeoisie, please.
Bourgeoisie. Yeah. Espresso latte, please.
Cortado.
Exactly. Fromage. Shall we have a little jaunt through the race, Zach? I'm telling you now, if you didn't know, it's your turn to do a 30-second recap.
Oh, no.
Oh, look, don't be too hard on yourself. At least it won't take the whole 30 seconds. Are you ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we go.
I couldn't hear the thing, so I'm just going to go now. Anyway, Red Bull, they were like, we're so fast. And then Mercedes was like, not so fast. We're also really fast. And they started 1 and 2. And then Max Verstappen was like, enough of that. I'm going to come around, overtake you both. And it's all just going to be me and me. And that was basically the last we saw of him. It really came down for the rest of the race to just will Checo Perez chase down Lewis Hamilton, because everybody else just ended up being separated by like 3 seconds at a relatively, unspectacular race. I mean, highlights were seeing Checo Perez's kid near the podium. I didn't know you were allowed to be podium adjacent.
2, 1. Stop there.
That was it.
Right. Well, I mean, I do insist on giving you this handicap of not letting you hear the sound, which I really should look into fixing that. But I think you did pretty well.
It's a Discord thing.
Yeah, I know. You don't have to let everyone inside the kimono, but
how big is this kimono?
There's room for me and you and everyone
kimono.
we know inside this kimono. Yeah, look, I mean, I think you pretty much hit all 3 nails on right and square on the head. So I guess job done. We could just move on. I don't know about you, but I heard some very excited talk about the Mercedes front row after qualifying being like, oh, the fight is on. At least we're going to get a fight, because if Red Bull had taken out the front row, this race would be so boring. And I was like, well, but if Red Bull is so dominant, they're just going to drive over the top of the Mercedes. And that's kind of what we got. I didn't expect it at the first corner, but we did. I mean, I don't think it would have mattered. The big question was kind of, did Bottas leave the door too open? What a way to go. We were going to class it up. Did he leave the door too open? Did Bottas, was he unkind to his fellow racer and left his opponent far too much space? Or was it just whatever, who cares? Because I still feel like no matter what, Verstappen was just going to win this race. And if he hadn't got him at turn 1, he would have got him next lap.
I think Bottas is choosing to fight when it suits him, right?
And to fight
seeing
who
it on
he
Saturdays.
wants. I think he was
Yes.
more interested in fighting Hamilton instead of just letting Hamilton go and blocking Verstappen, which I think that's what they clearly must have talked about maybe doing, and then just didn't really quite go that way.
No. And, it was feisty off the start. Laps 1 and 2 were interesting. And we got a little bit of needle and a bit of, will they, won't they? I mean, that run down to the first corners just takes about 10 minutes, which is really fun and interesting.
Big toe.
It goes through a couple of phases, right? Yeah, you do get a big toe. No one talks about the other toes. It's always only a big toe.
Big toe. It's very
you never hear anybody say,
Lebowski-esque.
Exactly. But it's always exciting to see cars 3 or 4 wide coming. You're like, who's going to yield? And Verstappen was just like, why'd you guys all brake so early? I'm just going to brake
you get to
now."
go this way.
Yeah. And it's not like he even missed the corner or anything. He was just like,
He
when
did
you see
really
he's
well.
on board and he's on the left, he's on the inside or outside, I suppose, at that point. And then Mercedes just brake at exactly the same time and they shoot off back. It's, it's just like that part of Return of the Jedi when Luke Skywalker slams the brakes on his little hoverbikey thing.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
2 other guys zoom past him.
I mean, everyone's been very critical of Bottas for leaving that door open. But at the same time, when I was watching, Bottas is on board and you can see Hamilton on the right, Verstappen on the left, and he just sort of gets right out of it. I actually thought that was a fair, that was a generous move on his part to be like, I don't want to get sandwiched. You guys are going to take each other out if I don't do this. So he got right out of it. I mean, if they'd all gone 3 into it and they'd all crashed or, worse, Hamilton had crashed and Verstappen had gone on to score maximum pointo, then, they would have been even more angry. So I didn't think it was too bad.
Hamilton was hoping Bottas would be the white ball and Hamilton could be the cue and Verstappen could be the ball going into the pocket. He was just going to rumble Bottas and shove him into Verstappen.
Maybe.
Red ball. I didn't even know I did that joke.
Well, in your mind, are you thinking billiards or are you thinking snooker?
I'm thinking more... I think I'm thinking snooker, but maybe I'm wrong. Do they use the same balls, snooker and billiards?
Well, hang on. So there's the one with the red balls and the other colours.
Yep.
There's the other one with just I guess you call it 9 ball, 1 to 8 ball, 1 to 16?
Pool.
15 pool. I guess you could call that pool. For argument's sake, let's call that pool. The other one can be all those other names that we just said. In my mind,
the name be for our podcast that covered billiards or snooker? Would it be Q Boys? Something like that?
Q Boys. Cue it up. The Q Cowboys. Chalk. Something chalk. Chalk it up.
Chalk it up. It's 2 lads, it's 2 Q boys chalking it up.
Something. Bridge, I don't know. Bridgerton. There you go. That's topical as well. Bridgerton.
Pocketed.
Bridge,
maybe.
Artan, pocket. Tickle my pockets. Something like that. That old joke. So, anyway, Bottas got right out of that. And then the other interesting thing, so much happened in this first corner, but because Bottas was getting out of it and Ricciardo was very keen to get into it, almost too keen, you could say, he locked up his brake and then Bottas winds up facing in the wrong direction, I'm reliably informed. I don't know that much about the track layout at the Mexican track, but I know that Bottas was facing the wrong way. So, look, Bottas put himself on the line. That's how I see it. He just suicided himself and let Lewis and Max go on to battle it out themselves. Anything else to say about maybe the leaders? The top 3?
Do you want to talk about Bottas?
Yeah.
The end,
Not really,
the other
but go
Bottas
ahead.
thing with, they pitted him and they're like, why don't you get fastest lap? I always think
this one.
this stuff, I find it, maybe this is stupid because I'm not usually going what's unsporting? But I think it's unsporting if you're going to go take fastest lap and you're going to finish outside the top 10. It's spiteful. It is you're doing it for spite. If you're not running in the top 10, don't go for it. I think it's dumb.
I mean, I guess it's designed to generate that interesting talking point. We've said many times it's more often not an interesting talking point. Like there are a couple of times where it's like, oh, we did that, that's spicy. But most of the time, it's just some junk person doing a junk move like this. Yeah. Maybe they need
it's a
to
needless
just,
plot point.
I don't know how they could do it better to just not only just say if you set the fastest lap and you're out of the top 10, you can't deny someone in the top 10 a point. Maybe they actually have to say the person in the top 10 who sets the fastest lap will also get that extra point. That's just how it is.
Yeah. The fastest lap by a top 10 finisher. I
guess the problem then would be someone else might set a faster lap, which is like, well, what are we giving points here for? What are we giving points here for? But I don't know. Well, I mean, they can work out every other bloody thing under the sun. They can work that out. Yeah.
Then why not give it to anybody at all then? Like if the point is that you're trying to increase some competition or add some spice further down the field, then give it to somebody outside the top 10. Like why does it have to be someone finishing in the top 10 then? Is it because there's fear that you know Mazepan is going to be able to go set the fastest lap of the race, even though he's coming last? So he could just go and pit, put on fresh boots and get out there and do it. I was like, I think their car's shit. Like if it was good enough to set the fastest lap, it's probably good enough to finish in the, maybe the top 15, at least the top 15. Sure. So it's nothing. Yeah, it's a nothing thing.
I don't even disagree. They should get rid of it. I don't even disagree.
Yeah, I've forgotten what the brief was. Like I've forgotten why we did it. Like, so weird. So weird. Dumb. Anyway, and then I do like that they brought him in, he went out, and then Verstappen was like, all right, well, you can
I guess I'll go faster then.
Yeah, I guess. And then you just get blue flagged. So, and then off I go.
I'll beat again, and I'll put on even faster tyres, and I'll get even faster than you. What a guy.
It's just, Mercedes. So funny. Just so funny.
They tried so hard. Another guy who tried really hard, Chico Perez, the first Mexican to stand on the podium in his home race, which is quite an honor, I think. I mean, he's had podiums before. None in Mexico, though. And I don't know. I mean, Chico's just on this weird roller coaster of a year, really. I mean, you can go back a year from now, and then they were like, oh, we don't think we want you in the sport anymore. And then all of a sudden, oh, we want you in the best team. But also you'll be bad, or maybe not so bad. Sometimes you'll be very, very good and you'll win a race, but then also out of the points. And then all of a sudden he's on the podium in his home race. So I just, oh boy, this guy's diary, like his emoji diary must be just like, he must be using every character there is.
Yeah. I mean, I think this was the plan, right? When they were like, okay, what is left in my career what do I want? And I can imagine that him and his family would have been like, you know what would be amazing? If you stood on the podium in Mexico. He's like, yes, that is the dream. That whilst we've got a race, because we probably won't have a race forever, and if I'm not in the sport, we probably won't have a race in Mexico. So how do I make that happen? And Red Bull comes knocking. He's like, great. All in, like, the season, my career will be a success, and my time at Red Bull will be a success if I stand on the podium there. That's the right move. I think I can make that happen. He's probably tapered his whole season just to this point, right? To make sure that he was in a position where he could make that happen. And it was great. I'm always a little bit frustrated. Like that's the only real story, not real story, but it's like, it's nice. But to me, it feels a bit like when Felipe Massa retired, and that was kind of like the story because it didn't feel like anything else was really going on. This is fine. It's good.
Okay.
How did you feel? Did it warm? Did it tickle you? Did it pull your heartstrings? Did you get a nice warm, rosy glow after seeing all of that?
Only a little bit. I mean, not nothing, but just a little bit. There you go. That's the best I can give you, Chico.
Nothing on my side. Could not care less.
Wow. Okay.
And I thought I've changed.
Yeah, boy. Thought I knew. Thought you cared.
Yeah, he's just nothing to me, Chico Perez. He's just bland. It's not his fault.
I see that. I always feel good when someone does well in their home race. That's all. Like, especially if someone wins their home race, forget about it.
But he didn't catch Hamilton. Like, what's the deal, man?
No. Well, I mean, what is the deal? I think that's a valid question. And I mean, I thought that we were in for the classic, like, if there was only one more lap, he would have got him. And he did sort of pull up, and then he faded off, and then he pulled up again. And I don't know. I mean, if you were looking for anything to to capture your attention until the end of the race and sustain it, that was the thing that you had going for you. I didn't think. I mean, after not really closing down on him throughout the first and second phase of the race, I was like, well, he's not going to catch him in the third phase. And then somehow he was able to. I don't know. He was pulling together some laps, and there were some charts that were powered by Amazon and AWS, and I was like, oh, gee, AWS is never wrong. So I got my hopes up, but no, nothing really happened.
I have a question for you. Let's see if you know the answer.
Shoot.
How long does it take to charge the batteries up in the car?
I don't know, 2/3 of a lap.
But they always
not
talk
fully
about, like,
charged,
you know,
though.
no, I think they always say, like, oh, well, you know, he's going to spend the next couple of laps kind of coasting around to charge up those batteries and then deploy it all on that one last lap. It's like, oh, does it take more than a couple of laps? I really thought it was just... Yeah,
you got to find the sweet spot of charging it and deploying it, right? So they're like, let's just, I mean, normally I imagine across one whole lap, you could fully charge the battery, and across a whole lap, you could fully deploy it. But the question is, you know, you might charge at 15%, but deploy 12%. Then you might charge by 20%, and then you're deploying, you know what I mean? Like, but you could spend time not charging it by going faster. Or you could deploy it and go faster, but you've got to pick and choose your moments throughout the lap. That's how I imagine it is. And that would be all the profile. Like there's 100 bajillion things.
Store it up to that overtake moment, right? Where you're like, I just need it on the straight to keep them outside of whatever zones.
Sure, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Asked and answered. Good job.
Well, I mean, that's the best I can do, and I'm guessing, but it's educated guess. So.
Did we ever have a time when we knew how full someone's batteries were? Was that some stats we used to get at some point?
No, was that a Formula E thing?
That was a Formula E thing, right? Yeah,
maybe that's what that was.
They get the full
they
charge
have the
again
battery
at the start of the lap.
Yeah, and you just watch it go down. Yeah, throughout the race, they're like, "Oh, he's you know, he's got a pit soon because he's only down at 3%. Oh, this other guy's at 7%. He could drive so fast, or whatever."
4%.
You have to talk like that. You know, Formula E fans be talking like that. Anyway,
I do. Anybody else you want to talk about?
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Verstappen, he was good. He did it all.
Verstappen,
and now he's let me say it for the 6th time this season. It's his to lose. Quotes from Hamilton and Mercedes being like, "Hey, if Red Bull continue this form, they're going to be hard to beat." It's like, duh, they're better than you. It's just they are, and you've stopped investing in this car because you're like, it's almost the end of the season. We want to build that 2022 car, and Red Bull's car is better. And there's only like a couple of races left. It feels like so. Yeah, do you see Hamilton making a big comeback without any, big DNFs from Maxi boy?
Well, let me answer the question like this, and I need to say a big thank you to Flurge, excellent person in the Discord, who shared this thing that was posted on Reddit. And I don't know, I assume the origin was Reddit, but maybe it wasn't. Someone saying, I calculated every possible outcome that there is, every single possible outcome for every race remaining, including races getting cancelled and half points and points for fastest lap and sprint race points and everything. There's 3.7 trillion different scenarios, but in, I think, 86% of them, they have Verstappen winning the championship. So, boy, things are looking really good for him. That's many trillions. What is it? 86.6 of them, including fastest lap, including half points if the race is cancelled and so on. So, yeah, boy.
What are you saying is there's a chance?
I think this might happen. I feel like I've been saying it for 7 months now, but I think this might happen for Verstappen this year.
And every race that he doesn't DNF and doesn't not get points, that percentage increases, right? The 86% just goes up.
Well, he's
up
nearly, I think he's 19 points up, nearly 20 points up. I mean, he's only one. If he wins and Hamilton's second at the next race, he's one race clear already. I mean, they're already talking about Verstappen wrapping this up before the last race, which is, I know a lot of people did not want that. We've had so many years where Hamilton has won it, like the summer break, that it's like, well, I mean, that's actually a pretty close one if it goes down to only the second last race. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, we're not going to get any of those, like, last ditch, I'm just going to drive into you and seal the championship in the last race or two. I think Max is going to have it wrapped up by then.
Yeah. We're going to make a prediction? Which race do you reckon Verstappen will win? There is the one there is the unnamed race that I don't want to talk about, but it'll probably be that one, won't it?
Yeah, it'll probably be that one. If I was going to put my money on any weird happenings, it's going to be that Hamilton's going to get desperate, make a move, and fuck his own race up. He'll be the one who... let's just say there's a higher likelihood that Hamilton will DNF in the next handful of races than Max Verstappen will, because Max doesn't have
That's
to.
valid.
He doesn't have to work as hard. I think Hamilton's going to have to really push for every single thing. He's going to get frustrated at tyre choices. He's going to be annoyed at Bono and the rest of you two.
Say, God, bad news, Bono. Give me some good news. God. So here's the races coming up. Brazil and Qatar back to back. Then there's a gap. Then there's Saudi Arabia. And then there's Abu Dhabi. So do you want to make any bold claims? You want to stake your stake, I guess, in the ground?
Nah, it'll be what do we? Is Abu Dhabi? Do we get two to finish there?
What do you mean you get two? What are you talking about?
Do we get double header at Abu Dhabi for the end of the season, or is Qatar taking one of those?
So there's two races in a row. Well, we're one race down in the three. That might help. There's a triple header. We've already had one. There's Brazil and Qatar left to go. Double header. If you start from now. Then
Brazil,
there's a gap.
Qatar. Okay.
Then there's
a little gap
Saudi
for
Arabia.
esports. On the calendar, it doesn't say there's a gap. There's an esports pro championship race, event 3, on the internet. It's got no location.
Like a great resume. There's no gaps.
Yeah. It'll be done by Abu Dhabi, no doubt. Done by Abu Dhabi.
So it may be Saudi Arabia. I reckon Qatar.
Yeah.
I reckon it'll be done in November.
Qatar?
We'll have two dead rubber races in December. Like you say, I think something will happen. Hamilton will get a penalty, engine penalty. He'll wipe out and go right back to the back of the grid and only score 3 points or something. Something will happen. That's what I reckon in Qatar.
I think it'll be done by Saturday end of Saturday in Abu Dhabi. I reckon qualifying will tell.
End of Saturday. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no points on Saturday. You might know that, except when there are. But yeah, no, qualifying will tell that, and Hamilton will have to start from the back of the grid, and then they'll be doing everything they can
to make it
happen. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. We'll go back to this race then, the Mexican Grand Prix. The only other thing that I thought was interesting was Ferrari finished P5 and P6 and have jumped into third in the Constructors. They said that they weren't even happy with that. They thought they wanted more. They probably could have got a little bit more, but they did very well over their main rivals, McLaren, and had to play the swapperoos act because Sainz was faster than Leclerc, and they had to do the old radio to say, Charles. The other Charles, the Spanish Charles is a little bit faster than you, French Charles. So, do you think you could let him through, maybe? And if he doesn't overtake anyone, we could let him back. I don't know. And Leclerc was like, I suppose. Yes, okay, fine.
Oh, fine. We're not really competing here anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's no big deal. No big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not the leader of the team or anything. It's fine.
Do I have this right, that Pierre Gasly finished 4th?
He sure did. He sure did.
Gee whiz. What a race.
What a good drive.
What a guy.
Yeah. And Anonymous, I was almost like, yeah, driver of the day, Pierre Gasly. I mean, why give it to Perez when he started 4th, finished 3rd, one of the drivers ahead of him got knocked down the grid? He did nothing. He kind of did nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a feel-good one.
It's a stupid thing.
Could have easily given it to Perez, just as easily.
How would you prefer driver of the day is chosen?
That's the thing. You can't do it the same way all the time because, Hamilton might be the best driver of the day, but he might take pole and lead every lap and win the race. Sometimes he wouldn't be the best driver on the track, though. It just depends. I think, though, Verstappen, to overtake both Mercedes in the first corner and win from there easily, great drive.
But it's not touching the essential question, which is how, if you were to change how driver of the day is chosen, what would be your preferred method?
There's no one thing. That's the problem.
Okay. As in, do you prefer fan stuff, or should Martin Brundle pick it? Should whoever's doing the podium interviews,
that's the level you wanted me to think, okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Martin Brundle should pick it, no.
Should it be a rotating roster of podcasters?
The agenda. Absolutely. I feel like podcasters deserve at least 6 times the public vote that currently gets.
Yeah, it's funny because when I watch football in the UK, they hand out the co-commentator chooses. Football matches go for 90 minutes.
That's
usually
so
by the
weird.
85th minute, the main commentator will be like, "Well, commentator B, ex-player probably, who's your man of the match?" And he'll be like, "Well,
He's like, I have a name."
Yeah,
ex-player. Jeez, I've been here for 3 hours now. It's Jeff, and you know it's Jeff. Co-commentator of the day. Duh, not you.
You're hitting me with right all the time. It's just as I come back to the microphone, you hit me with another one. I have to lean away and laugh. Oh, so
I'm sorry, not sorry.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe the drivers could choose. They could have a little vote. Put another thing on the steering wheel. Another button.
Yeah. I mean, I think probably... I mean, there's
Ask
other
them over
sports that
the
do something
radio.
like this. Michael Massey, a driver vote,
Yeah.
and then a public vote. Something like that.
Yes. Eurovision style.
Oh, is that Eurovision style? Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I like
so they
most
all
things
give
about
each other
Europe,
points.
including their style.
I like the idea of the engineers having to radio their drivers and be like, look, I know you're busy, Daniel, trying to track down.
Chasing down Hamilton. Do you
Yeah.
reckon Perez or do you reckon yourself or like Gasly
Can't vote
is
for yourself.
pretty good?
Can't vote for yourself. Definitely not.
Yeah.
No
that's
chance. You're illegal. That's illegal.
Oh, what about no? But there's a driver association, right? And that's led usually by a non-driver. So the driver association could cast a vote, and then a steward's vote, and then people vote. That's
And the people vote.
Yeah, we
the
got
punter. The average punter.
average Joe Schmo.
Yeah, that just annoys me. They ask before the end of the race. You never know. If you can't, it's stupid. You can't be telling us that there's all this stuff that's going to happen in the last couple of laps. Then ask us 10 laps before the end. Like, so who's your driver of the day? It's like, there's still stuff to happen. It could be Perez if he catches Hamilton. If he overtakes him, then he's the driver of the day.
Exactly.
But he didn't.
Exactly. No, you nailed it. You'd hate to have cast a vote and then go, oh, actually, Perez won the race. Whoops.
He drove into the grandstand. No.
That's right. He just like launched right off that grandstand straight up and into the fireworks because he freaking won.
Yeah.
You know what I reckon, Zach? I reckon that we are getting silly because we've run out of things to say about this race. So we should move on to the Fantasy League. I happen to have up here the race results, so I'm happy to cover them if you want to do the league. Sound all right?
Yep. Just give me 1 second and I will.
Can do that. Well, I can keep talking while you're doing that. I can do two things. I can wait and talk. I do that all the time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well,
let me just log
the
in.
the top three. I don't need running commentary on what you're doing now. The top three from the Mexican Grand Prix. In position, the number 3 was Yucknut and French Gasly by Fluge, league leader, but this week only just barely scrapes it onto the podium. 191 points, barely losing out to position 2. High Rake the Forest by Big Nickas, 192 points, cracking the double ton Team Hypothesis by Manager Hypothesis, 201 delicious points, leading the league from the Mexican Grand Prix. I can scroll down to where we did, but I happen to know that it didn't set the earth on fire or
I may
anything.
have forgotten to put my predictions in. Maybe.
I think I definitely 100% maybe did as well. I came in 55th for this race. And I know that you can't be too far away from me because I don't think either of us moved that much.
We're not movie boys. We're focused on putting together good notes for a podcast.
More of a shaker than a mover.
Yes. Stirrer even.
Stirrer sometimes. Oh, you're down in 69th for this race. So
Nice.
you 84 points, me there or thereabouts on 101 points. And neither of us seem to have moved in the league, which is to say you're still ahead.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. Good to know. The league, there has been a little bit of movement, Rodney, in third
love to see
position between Leclerc Dynamics by Tim T. Brown and Ipithys, manager Ipithys. They have swapped positions, having swapped just recently. They are neck and neck, fighting it out, with Ipithys now in third. Tangelo Racing from Tony Saint in second position. With, I'm going to say, it's still close. You know, there's only 30 points separating Ipithys and Tangelo Racing. So keep your eyes on the prize up there at the top. And of course, speaking of the top, Yucknut and Le French Gasly from Fluge, 2,667.5. The 0.5 is important. A lot of people forget. 0.5 points. That's going to be tough to catch unless Yucknut, French Gasly, and manager Fluge have a DNF. But I think that might be impossible for the Fantasy League. So
I wonder if they're bribable.
Could be. Could be. I wouldn't care to comment on that because you never know what might happen.
You just never know. You just never know. Well, that's fantastic. Good luck to everybody in the closing rounds. Don't forget to get your your predictions in. Don't do what both of us did and forget, because they can be costly. Shall we get into the super quiz for this week?
Yes.
We will accept a couple of questions. Should one only win one? Would one want to have won that one in round one?
Can you repeat the question?
Zach, I have to, before we even get into the quiz, I have a question for you. This quiz will either be a test of your intuition or your memory when I ask you, did you see the Daniel Ricciardo interview on The Ellen Show?
I saw a screenshot.
Cool. Well, this will be a test of your intuition in the Ricciardo was on Ellen this week quiz. I didn't write the quiz before before the show. You wrote the quiz before the show quiz. It's a long name, but I'm proud of it. The Ricciardo was on Ellen this week. I didn't write the quiz right before the show. You wrote the quiz right before the show quiz. Very antagonistic. You can tell that I'm bringing that energy into the show this week. But anyway.
Facebook, because you've just gone meta with your quiz.
Oh, am I talking to Mark Zuckerberg? Oh, do you wear too much zinc on your face? Because this is a meta
More like
quiz.
Zuckerberg.
The quiz, should you choose to accept it, is a true or false. Which of the
I
following
don't
were
accept
real
it.
questions? Well, okay. Well, I guess we get into final thoughts. So anyway, Zach, you got any final thoughts?
No, hit me with a fun Ellen quiz.
We played the song and everything. True or false? Which of the following are real questions that Alan asked Daniel Ricciardo? Do you want the first one as a taster?
Yeah, go for it.
So you have to imagine I'm stepping into Alan's shoes and I'm asking this question. You can pretend you're Ricciardo if you like. Here's the question. What is Formula One? So you say to me, true or false, whether she asked that or not.
I think it's true because, I mean, what better place to start than what is it?
It is true. It is a pretty good foundational question. I mean, it's a good question and it was well asked. Yes, true. She did ask that. Boom, you're on the board.
What would you say?
Okay.
To turn the quiz on the Quizmaster. What would you say in response to what is Formula One?
I mean, probably just it's motor racing. It's the peak of motor racing, the absolute pinnacle. That's probably what I would say. Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's smart.
Question the number 2. Again, pretend I'm Alan. I'm asking you, Daniel Ricciardo, a question. Is this a real question that I asked you? Question. How do you adjust time zones between races?
Well,
No.
I think
true or false?
true.
Okay. And any justification? Sorry, I've very rudely interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, justification is that it's a dumb question because Daniel Ricciardo doesn't adjust the time zones. The time zones stay exactly the same. He adjusts to them.
Well,
So,
that's a good
yeah,
point.
perfectly dumb question from a talk show host. So, yes, true.
Good point. It was true. I mean, he did answer the question by saying, if I have to go to sleep earlier, I go to sleep 1 hour earlier each night. But he also said that most races he just runs on adrenaline, so it actually doesn't really matter.
I figured that's probably it.
Question number 3, true or false? Did Alan ask this question of Daniel Ricciardo? You're from Australia. Do you like it over here in the US?
True.
No, this one's false. I made this up. But he is always smiling, so I think everyone just assumes that he loves
He
everything.
loves the US. And the off time, he's always in like LA playing basketball
Yeah,
with
he
his
does that.
trainer.
It's true. Doing weird stretches. Question the number 4, true or false? Did Alan ask this question? How do you fit your ass into those tiny cars? True or false?
I don't know if Daniel's got a particularly big ass. I'm going to say false.
That is false. We all know that the cars are not tiny; they're huge. Am I right, Zach? Yes, but also
Massive.
this didn't come from Alan, but McLaren did post a cheeky photo from Daniel's onboard where he stood up in his car, bent down to put back in his steering wheel, and they grabbed the screenshot and tweeted it out like, cheeky. Big ass right there. So that inspired that question. Cool. I mean, the thing is, for his figure, he's curvy down there for his figure. What are we talking about? Okay, yeah, sure. So true or false? Did Alan ask this question? How fast do you go?
True. Yeah, that feels like a good foundation establishing question.
And he said we go over 200 miles per hour, and the audience went, ooh. Like, ooh, that is quite fast. I don't
And
go that
most
fast.
of the
Do you go
world
that
went,
fast? I don't go that fast.
How fast is that? I'm glad that he answered in miles. That was smart of him.
Yeah. I mean, he's like an honorary US, right? I mean, he famously loves it there. He got asked by nobody in a fake quiz. Question the number though, I forget. Why, the question was, why do you need to be fit to drive a car? Do you think she asked that true or false?
I'm going to say true as well. Again, more scene setting. I think this is good.
Yeah, that one was true. I mean, he talked all around it, but the short answer was because of the G-forces. Have to be fit. Of course, you have to be fit.
You've got to keep that ass slim so it fits in the car.
Got. That's
Doesn't
right.
do any squats. No squats. You'll never see
Yeah.
Daniel Ricciardo squatting.
Literally never. There's no seat in his car. He just holds on to the steering wheel, puts his feet on the pedals, and then he just like clenches. That's why it's so muscular.
There was
out there.
in a gym I used to go to. I don't go to the gym
Yeah.
anymore. On the back of the toilet stall doors, they had hey, that counts as one more squat. Like when you sit down on the toilet.
Oh, you're kidding.
I thought that was funny, like the first time I read it, but then more and more, like it just felt intrusive. And I was like, I don't want you thinking about me going to the toilet.
Yeah, that's
Stall,
true.
Communication
Yeah,
people.
I would hate
like,
that.
This is a private moment. What I do in here is my business, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, maybe Daniel Ricciardo wears nappies so he never has to squat.
Well, that leads us sort of a little bit into the next question, which was, well maybe it doesn't, if you follow. The question for you is the question, what if you have to pee during a race? True or false? Did Ellen ask that question of Daniel Ricciardo?
I'm going to say false. Too blue for midday. What time is Ellen on? I feel like it's in the middle of the day, but maybe not in America. Maybe it's primetime viewing. No, too blue.
Unfortunately for you, the answer is true. And he says that he usually holds on during the race. But when you hold
just
on,
not
you hit
that
every
long.
little bump and you've just got to hold on. But he does say there are times when if you have to go, you just have to go. But he claims he's never done it himself.
You would say
Which I don't know,
that, though, right?
man. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like being an astronaut. Like, there's got to be some perks. You may as well just let it go, man. Just do it once in your life, so that you know what it feels like.
I think some people own that. Like, if you speak to like ultra marathon runners and they're like, you just go, because you're filthy and that's just how it is, man, to reach the heights you want to reach.
It's nature, man.
But I don't find that impressive when people are like, I was working so hard that I pissed myself. Like,
I mean, the
I'm not
thing is,
interested.
I wouldn't be bragging about it, but would I do it? I mean, sure, if anyone asked me, I'll just say I had to. And how are they going to know?
We're all just trying to work out who did this, all right? And it was you.
We're all just trying to work out who did this. We're all trying to catch the guy that did this. Last question, possible, true or false. Did Ellen ask Ricciardo this question? Do you like me?
Oh, no, come on. How fragile is her ego, if that's the case? Wow, really going in studs up on Ellen. I don't know. I mean, she seems fine. Famously
Well, this is
married to an Australian, right? So, no, she didn't ask that question. False.
no false. She did not ask that question. But do you like me? I think we're all asking ourselves that question at the moment about Ellen. It's something we're all wrestling with. So no.
Yeah, what was the
false.
controversy?
I think,
Did she do something stupid or someone picked on her or something?
I think she was really awful to a whole bunch of people for a bunch of years, and then someone finally called it out, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's right, you're awful."
Yeah,
But now apparently she's
sorry. So you can't be. Maybe she was receptive to the
conflicted
feedback.
watching it.
Changed. Maybe.
Don't know. I don't know that she'll be invited to any future movies in the Nemo verse.
The Nemoverse, the extended Nemoverse.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know why Daniel Ricciardo was on Ellen. I don't know why he's lifting his brand there for that. I can't imagine any crossover with his target market and watching Ellen. I don't think they'd be buying his merch or his beer or his wine that he's plugging.
Yeah.
No.
There was a lot of talk about Netflix and Drive to Survive. It was basically, I'm sure
That's
Netflix
what it
arranged it. She did not ask him how long he had been a Formula One driver. She asked him, how many seasons of Drive to Survive have there been? So I'm sure it was a Netflix.
How many indeed? Too many.
That's true. Not enough. Yeah. So anyway, that was hang on, let me get the thing up again so I can read it exactly the way I wrote it. The Ricciardo was on Ellen this week. I didn't write the quiz right before the show. You wrote the quiz right before the show quiz. You did extremely well. I'm very proud.
Thank you. We had warned last episode in Shakedown that with all these races and our busy schedules,
That they were going to be silly. We did.
that they might be a bit funny. The quizzes.
I wrote all of the
that
show
was that.
notes and this quiz in the 20 minutes before we started recording today.
Exactly.
So there you
And I'm
go.
surprised there was
But I
more than
forgot.
3 lines on the show notes.
There you go. Yeah, there's 7 lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Which brings us to the final line, which is final thoughts. Zach, you got any final thoughts?
Yes, I've got one. Do you want to kick us off?
You've got one. Do you want me to kick us off?
No, I said, do you want me to kick us off?
I do, very much.
Is that a question? Ellen asked Daniel, would you like me to kick this interview off? He was like, is that a question? Isn't that you kicking it off? How many questions have you got? Count them down.
I'm confused. Let's do a dance.
Oh, fucking. Oh, God. Horrible.
I was in Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. That's what she said. Weird.
Rumours.
And I was in TV.
About Volkswagen Group, it's Audi, about maybe the new regulations coming in next year being amicable to them, and then being a bit like, hey, maybe we should put this Mercedes brand in their place a little bit. And maybe all of that, should we be in Formula E or like sustainable racing stuff is all kind of bullshit and doesn't affect our brand at all. And we could actually, the racing, being really good at racing is actually more important. And this brand is really big and you've got Drive to Survive and all that kind of stuff. Maybe we should enter Formula One. And apparently the scuttlebutt is, I haven't had the chance to like check these rumors. I just saw this stuff on Twitter yesterday or the day before, that they were talking to 3 teams on the grid. Do you know those 3 teams?
Freaking hell. I mean, I don't. Do you have the names?
No, I know
these?
Yeah, I know who they are.
Do you want me to have a little guess?
Yeah, you can have a little guess. Who do you think would be up for selling their, or getting involved, or selling their team?
Alpine?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Haas?
No. Haas, I thought, but no.
AlphaTauri?
The other one.
Ooh, Alfa
Maybe
Romeo,
they come as
really?
a set. No. The other Red Bull team.
Red Bull. It's a Volkswagen.
Well, they don't really have an engine. Like, they've got their own engine stuff, but how long will that last? Whereas if you got Volkswagen or Audi or Porsche coming in to be like, hey, why don't we build your engines for you? Because they do actually know how to do all of that from all of their WEC stuff.
I guess that's true. Okay. So you said 3 teams. Are you counting Red Bull? You're counting Red Bull and AlphaTauri as 1 or 2?
I'm counting them as 1.
And you're saying I haven't even got the third one. Not even close.
You haven't even got the other 2.
Laughably far away from it.
The other 2.
Yeah. Aston Martin?
No.
Freaking hell. There's only so
I
many.
think you're out of
10 teams.
Yeah, it's Williams and McLaren with the other couple.
Williams
chats
makes
were
total
about.
sense. Although they've only just been sold recently. That's why I wasn't thinking them. But yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then McLaren, who, they've refinanced their beautiful office. They've kind of like sold that essentially, and they're loaning it back. They've got, they've got racing kind of interests everywhere, but maybe you might just buy the whole McLaren thing, like buy the whole thing from them, like the whole McLaren brand, and then you get the Formula One team as well. And then they could be McLaren Porsche. Like, you keep the McLaren brand going still. Whereas
there's no
Williams,
conflict. No, it'd be good for McLaren somebody. That would be good. I'd like to see that. McLaren have just done so well in the last few years, though, pulling themselves up from literally nowhere, that you just like to see them have a few years, not poodling around the back of the grid.
This does become the existential question, though. Can a customer team go and win? Like, whilst Mercedes is in the sport as a constructor, will they let any of their customers really be good enough to win the premiership, the championship? No one's done that. In Mercedes has been supplying half the grid or more for the last 7 years. No one's come close to them. Put your tinfoil hat on, mate, because maybe that's it. Maybe they give all the jump to the other teams.
I mean, when you say to me Porsche and WEC, I think immediately of the Porsche Martini design on the car. So, I mean, after we had that amazing, Martini livery on the Williams in Formula One. So that's where I go. Williams, Porsche, return of the Martini livery. Yes, please.
Or do we come back to that? The Chris Emerson, who probably doesn't even listen to the show anymore, call from years ago, which is, hey, Porsche, Formula One, Mark Webber, team principal.
I was going to say exactly that.
Ex-Red Bull driver, fucking running
former
things.
Porsche WEC driver.
Exactly. Yeah, and Le Mans winner.
It all makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I'd love to get that South African link into the team. Bring in those South African investment dollars.
Well, somebody asked some drivers, Lewis Hamilton maybe, it's like, hey, do you want to go back to South African Grand Prix? He was like, sure, why not? Whatever. I don't care. They was asking him some junk questions. Pizza or pasta? I don't know. Yeah, great.
They're both amazing. They're both bellissimo.
That's it.
Guess
That's all I have for my final thought.
Turn to think. I liked your thought. I liked it very much. Zach, if you had to say what 3 sports do I like, what 3 sports would you say?
The 3 sports that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Formula One.
Yes, ding ding.
Cricket. And ice hockey.
That is probably the closest that there is. But I mean, cricket and ice hockey are distant second and third for sure. I was out with some friends the other day and they were talking about football and someone said, "Oh, what football team do you follow?" Right? I was like, "I don't really follow a team." And they're like, "Oh, but you follow the AFL?" I was like, "No." And they were like, I just couldn't dress that day and I just grabbed whatever out of the cupboard. And they went, "But obviously you love the NBA." And I was like, "Why did you say obviously I love the NBA?" And they looked at my jacket and they were like, "You've got a Brooklyn Nets jacket on, bro." And I was like, "Oh shit." I literally had no idea what clothes I was wearing and I don't wear that jacket very often. So I was like, boy, have to wind that back somehow. So I made a total ass of myself. And I just think from now on, I'm going to have a prepared list of sports that I like. And if I'm going to wear the Brooklyn jacket, I'm going to have to remember like some recent NBA happenings. Maybe some player names would be good. Someone did laughingly say the old, "Oh, you got a Brooklyn jacket, name 3 players." Ha ha ha. We laughed it off, which was good because I couldn't name 3 current Brooklyn Nets players. It's just not possible.
Isn't one of the Australian guys playing for the Brooklyn
Stephen
Nets?
Curry?
Are they the Nets? What? Steve Curry?
Who does he play for again? Someone very good.
He plays for
Philadelphia?
Golden State Warriors, I want to say.
Is he down there? Is he on the Golden State, is he? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's him.
I tell you a secret. When I was in, when I was in high school and, basketball was the big thing, I definitely followed Charles Barkley and Phoenix Suns. But then when he retired or moved on and was not doing so well, I dabbled with Golden State and they were no good. But I dabbled with Golden State as my team. But I was only a couple of decades ahead of their time because apparently they're very good now.
Yeah, that guy can shoot 3-pointers, can drain them, I think is what they call them. For 2 guys who played basketball, I like basketball. It's American sports, there's so much of it. It's too hard to follow. It's always on the wrong time zone. And even here, like in the UK, like I see it on TV and I'm like, talk about a sport that doesn't need most of it, People were talking about that.
Most of it. That's all sports, my friend.
They pooter along. And then the last few minutes, it's still like a few points in it. Neither side can win. And it's just a big, strong link sport. The teams that have 1 or 2 of the absolute elite players just win every time. So,
So,
I don't get it. I think people like the culture around it. So, good for them.
When I was in high school, and I think when you were in high school, NBA was pretty big, really big. Yeah. And it just declined. But all of a sudden, the last 5 years, maybe even last 10 years, huge resurgence and it's back. And it's probably as big now as it has ever been. So, why that? What do you think?
I think because you don't have to watch it. You can watch highlights. There are lots of people who play it and they've got big personalities. It's got the ownership structure. They're very strong brands, so it has global appeal. And it's kind of unmoored from the rest of the US stuff. I think it's funny we talked about The Last Dance and that being maybe the height. Yes. Jordan Mania was kind of the height of America's cultural influence in the world. It's America, everything about America is great. Every country should want to be America. You should want to live in America. And I remember being a child as being I will go to Disney World and I will live in America and America is the bomb. And nowadays it's America has the bomb, but maybe literally nothing else to aspire to.
Has bombed.
And has bombed, yeah. And maybe Americans are maybe the last people to see that about their own country. And I think, that's changing. It's hard to look at. I feel that way about Australia sometimes too. But I think cultural influence has kind of waned. And things like the NBA have worked very hard from a brand perspective to be no, this is great and globally appealing. And we should compete for eyeballs in not just watch the sport, but everything around it, the culture of it, which is how the people I know who are into it follow it. It's for the personalities of the people. There's an old Jerry Seinfeld joke, right? That you're just cheering for clothes because the people move around sports so much in America, so much. They're all one guy will play for one team and win a championship that year and then be off playing for their direct rivals the next season with 3 of his mates from other 3 teams. It all just shifts around. so much that I think you just follow the people involved in it as opposed to like one specific team, maybe. I don't know. I know fuck all about it. So, what do you think? What do you think NBA
Thanks
is so
for weighing
big?
in and then putting that button on the end of saying I don't know fuck all about it. Well done. The thing that you said before that I've been thinking about ever since then and just waiting for you to stop talking so that I can expand on it was you can watch highlights. And I think the difference with NBA and other sports is that other sports, if you watch the highlights, like the true fans would go, but you didn't get the full experience. I feel like that with the NBA, if you see the 3-pointer that wins the game and you see LeBron doing the dunk and you see, like the rejections, you saw it. You saw the game. You could watch the 5 minutes highlights and everyone is like, you didn't miss a thing. You saw all the great stuff. It's ready-made. I mean, in that way that all sports can be delivered as highlights packages and they seem so much better to a casual fan. But I think hardcore fans go, yeah, you saw the 5-minute highlights and that was the best of the game. That was the good stuff.
Yeah. Yep. I think you're right.
So there you go. I promised you one final thought. We got there eventually. You had to help me get there, but we got there. We did it.
Do you know any, like, would you ever buy any Formula One merch, like, that was like big jackets and stuff? It's quite fashionable
They're just
around
so
London.
expensive.
I see
God, they're expensive.
Instagram model people wearing like vintage McLaren jackets. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Don't know.
Time to get some
Name
new
3
designs
world
in the
champion
old
winning
Super
McLaren
License
drivers.
store.
Mm.
I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, do I have merch? I've got a Formula One hat that you got me. I brought a Daniel Ricciardo shirt when Daniel launched that range that was not the McLaren Daniel Ricciardo range. It was the DR range. I bought a shirt. It was like 2 sizes too small, but I was like, I'll buy it, and who knows? Yeah, but I think it's long gone now. Actually,
but the functional gear, right?
Bought.
Like, would you, because I see that, like I look at Arsenal's website and the stuff they sell, and it's like, this is your winter coat. Like, here is your like utility winter coat that you could wear every day in the freezing cold, and it's Arsenal. And people buy it like not just as fashion choice, but as like, well, I've got to buy some new jeans. Might as well get the Red Bull jeans. Like, oh, okay,
right. Interesting. But is it not like 4 times the cost of a normal pair of jeans?
Yes, sir.
That's and your question being, did you miss the part where I said it had an Arsenal logo on it?
Exactly.
That's where I'm like, I will just buy a plain black jacket. Thanks very much.
That's I'm the same. I'm the same.
I'm that person.
I mean, I did buy some Knicks branded Nikes when I was in New York. I thought they were cool.
Yodi New York Knickerbockers.
I saw
sometimes final
New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden.
Dear me. I saw the Knicks beat the Celtics at that same garden.
Huh. Not a lot of plants in that garden. Well, I've been Jerry Seinfeld. Here's all my good bits.
I was going to say, sometimes the final thought is a nice little button on the end of the show, and it leads us nicely to the conclusion. Not this week.
It's 25 minutes.
There's lots of races, all jam-packed together in a very short amount of time. So there's not, I mean, there's some, there's some racing to talk about, but there's not a lot of not going to be a lot of air for other stuff. So we try and just, when there's a little gap, we just grab a little mouthful and we fill our lungs, my friend. Coming up to Brazil, again, just a reminder, that's our 200th show, Zach. So maybe we should just, I don't know, we each think of one thing that makes it a special event, and then we just surprise each other. How does that sound?
Okay. I can do that. Yeah, wow.
Whatever it may be. Use your best judgment. Just a thing. Yep. Just a thing. Okay. And then, listeners, if you feel like you want to send us an email or
I'm going to get on the show and be like, this is my last show.
Surprise, Rod. Fuck you.
Since I moved to London, this hasn't even been Zach. This is Zach's evil twin, Kaz. And I've been secretly doing the show this whole time.
I'm Zach's evil twin. His name backwards.
Yeah.
My name backwards? Yendor. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I have a pretty good backwards name.
Oh.
Almost better than my forwards name. Yendor.
We could do the whole episode backwards, with backwards names too. Yendor, I'm, and Kaz, I'm. Hello.
We could try.
Bad.
We
It's
could
bad.
try. We could reverse
It's
the
bad is
segments,
what it
maybe.
is.
That's probably the best we could do. Anyway, we can work all this out later. What I'm trying to say is the next race is Brazil. It's going to be our 200th episode. Incredible. Please join us for that. And until then, my name has been Rod.
My name's been Zach.
Talk to you in Brazil again. It's our 200th race. See you there. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, yeah.